Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a Wednesday, a hump day. Cody, we've already made it. We've already made it almost through the whole week. It's hard to believe, man, but we're counting down the days to the Michigan game. I'm done with the deep dig on offense. I have some big news to share about the Texas offensive line, especially about the fact that big. The Texas and the Colorado State game, man, had if the way that the tackles played in this game is any harbinger of the way that things are going to go for the rest of the season, I think the Texas fans are in for a treat out of these two guys. We're going to talk about that here shortly. We also have some of the and just a bunch of other stuff, right? I mean, we have the skill player breakdowns, the skill player snap counts, the target share data, the personnel grouping data. We'll talk about that and how it could sort of play out here as it pertains to the Michigan game coming up. There's some stuff from the Sharon Moore press conference that we didn't get to yesterday that I want to talk about. And, of course, you have some information that you put up in your column today from the kind of behind enemy line stuff, some stuff on Michigan, also some kind of interesting stuff on Oklahoma and A&M that I wanted to maybe get into first here before we kind of nerd out on the numbers from the deep dig. But just want to say thanks to everybody for being here with us. Certainly love having you guys. And got a big show planned today. So thanks for being here. Cody, what is it about Michigan? There's some kind of flag hanging from one of the hotels there.
So the beginning was I found this post, and it's just like a normal post usually you see up on Orange Blood. Some fan or person just tweets out, what's going on with this flag downtown. And so I dig a little deeper into it, and turns out that there's a Texas flag. I don't know if it's a horned like logo or if it's like the Texas state flag flying from the front of the Graduate Hotel, which is a Hilton hotel on Huron Boulevard in downtown Ann Arbor, which is about 6 blocks, I think, from the stadium. And that's the hotel that Michigan stays at on game nights, on the night before games. That's the hotel that Michigan stays at. This poster claimed to have called the hotel and asked, why are they flying a Texas flag? And they told him that Texas fans paid for them to fly the flags. Later on, after I posted this, somebody jumped in the chat. I can't remember the name offhand exactly, but they said that Graduate Hotels, the Cooper Manning, Arch's father, of course, he works with the architects of the Graduate Hotel chain by Hilton. Then there's a tweet that goes out by somebody within the last 2 or 3 hours, and it was from, I think her name was Rachel. Let's see, here it is. Tori Raspberry. Sorry, she said this was shared in our Texas parents group. Love it. It says, I hear that Cooper Manning paid to have the Texas flag fly outside the Graduate Hotel near campus. People in Ann Arbor are not happy.
I wouldn't think Texas fans would be happy if there's a hotel near campus with a big Michigan flag that they can't go rip down or anything like that.
On campus, yeah.
It would because like you can't go tear it down because you get arrested for like destruction of property and stuff like that, right? It's
I have a feeling that thing probably disappears overnight. I mean.
Oh gosh! All right. Well, so what else do you have from around Ann Arbor town as far as the game this weekend?
Well, there's 2 recruits in the 2026 class that'll be there that are from Texas. It's Jalen Pyle, wide receiver from Parish Episcopal. He's a 4-star, but it doesn't really seem like Texas has paid him a ton of attention. He's between Michigan and Oklahoma. It seems like his favorites right now. But Javion Osborne, the running back in that class, he's also going to be at the game on behalf of Michigan. A couple other notes. I kind of just noted a couple matchups. So we'll talk about more about, I think, matchups probably towards the end of the show. And also tomorrow will be pretty much a matchup show, of course, and a preview. But Kelvin Banks and Josiah Stewart, there's some footage about Josiah Stewart here. And then also, obviously, today we'll talk about the deep dig on offense with Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams. But another thing that kind of was of note on the Michigan side of things was them talking about the quarterback and them talking about the center position. And I talked earlier this week about the center position in Michigan and how it's kind of a question mark. They subbed 2 guys out during the course of the game last week against Fresno State. They also ranked outside the top 175 in all of college football in blocking grades at PFF. This is a comment from head coach Sharon Moore regarding center Dom guidance. He says Dom had some communication things which caused some pressures and people to see somebody miss a block, but don't really know what's going on. The biggest thing was the communication. You know there's a plan, and you got to stick to the plan and can't erase from the plan because those will mess up everybody else around you. And of course, everybody knows the center, other than the quarterback, the center is like the center of the offense. Like the center messes up, a lot of other stuff's not going to, it's kind of like the glue. Jason Kelsey's always the glue, right, in Philadelphia. And as much as, people, are agitated by Jake Majors, he's kind of the glue to the offensive line.
He didn't play that bad. He played good. He played fine.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. What the deep dig ended up saying. The other comments from Sharon Moore were actually regarding the quarterback position, and a lot of people have asked about Alex Orji this week. But the feeling around Michigan definitely seems like this is Davis Warren's team.
Yeah,
and JJ McCarthy, the quarterback, of course, of last year's national championship team, actually he's been posting a lot on Instagram, like reposting stuff about Davis Warren, and he's kind of backing him. He's like, "Oh, we haven't seen nothing yet. He's coming." Da 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 da. And of course, he beat cancer, and it's awesome off the field and everything. But people have still been asking about Alex Orji. So this was a response from Sharon Moore. He says, "Yes, I think there'll be a rhythm regarding the quarterback position. I think you'll catch a rhythm, and we'll have some stuff that's scripted, but I think you'll really." You just really got to catch a rhythm of when to use them, when not to use them, and be able to do that successfully. Keep Davis in a rhythm, and then if he's in the game, keep Orji in a rhythm to make sure we're doing that for our team.
Dude, I've never heard a coach talk about rhythm more than Sharon Moore. He must have mentioned the word rhythm like 5-6 times in his press conference yesterday.
To me, that sentence makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't make sense. Like it's kind of not saying Davis Warren's our quarterback while also saying we're going to take the hot hand approach. Like we know there's packages for Orji, but it wasn't like Taysom Hill. When they talk about Taysom Hill in New Orleans, it's like, yeah, we have packages. Yes, we're going to use him. This was more of yeah, when Davis is in the game, we're going to try to keep him in a rhythm. When Alex is in a game, we're going to try and keep him in a rhythm. I don't know. How do you perceive that?
Well, it was just when I was watching back that game yesterday, it's it's packages. It just is, dude. It's just, they get down to the goal line. They bring in they bring in Orji. He's a bigger threat. But look, man, it's true. I just, if you're a coach, what are you gonna? By the way, Blake is in the chat. Blake, what are you doing? We got Blake. Oh, dude, we got some real G's. We got Darwin Lemon and Money B and El Presidente and all these guys, man.
Football's back, baby.
Yeah, I guess people are starting to tune back in. We even get old Blake Skaggs in here, man. So good to hear from you, brother. Yeah, man. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Orji. So I think, look, dude, this is pretty obvious to me that this team, the players, because of the way that Sharon Moore talks about Davis Warren, the players really like him. They really like him. They see him as a leader. He's the one who they rally around. They just like him, and he's like, dude. If Alex Orji would have been better than him in the practices, you don't think I would have played? He's, Davis Warren won he won the job. Now, do I think he's super gifted? Not necessarily. I don't. And I'm like you, dude. It's just like, do you remember when Brian Robinson got shot in the leg? And it was I think it was right before his rookie season in Washington. Yeah, he got shot right now. Yeah, and I remember saying I didn't like Brian Robinson as a prospect at all. Right? I didn't. I thought I thought that people were overrating him, just saying like, he's another running back from Georgia. He's gonna be or another running back from Alabama. He's gonna be just as good as all these guys. And I was just like, that's not true. He's being overdrafted in fantasy, all that. But I always had to say, but I really feel for the guy, and I feel bad for him. I almost feel bad saying anything about him because I mean he got shot in the leg, and he's obviously, like you got all the media around there seeing like it turns out he's like a really good guy and stuff like that, and everybody's rooting for him. And it's like you feel bad saying anything about I feel bad saying this about Davis Warren because. Yeah. But from everything you can tell, like we talked about yesterday, getting swindled out of his final year of high school football, having to be a third teamer this whole time, overcoming leukemia. Did he have leukemia and cancer or something like this?
Well, leukemia is cancer, but
okay. But Sharon Moore said having leukemia, having cancer. So I'm not sure if it was the same. If that was the. I can't imagine him having leukemia than having some other form of cancer, right?
I feel like it's the same thing, but I guess I could be misspoken. I guess.
Yeah. So but yeah, man. So I think what he's trying to say is that, look, I understand that we have a quarterback situation here that's nebulous and a little bit weird. And I also understand that it feels like at any point in time, my quarterback could end up turning into a pumpkin, right? When the clock strikes midnight, he could turn into a pumpkin. That's something that you could certainly see happening from a guy that hadn't started a football game. His first football game to start in the last 4 or 5 years was last weekend. Mm-hmm. It's like he can go back and point to that sort of message and say, look, I just told you we're hot hand stuff, all the rest of it. But the fact of the matter is they have an idea of when they want to use Alex Orji. And if things aren't popping, and if like this gives him the break glass in case of emergency type of excuse that he would need, just in case like things aren't working, if they're not going well. Man, I don't know about you, Cody, but whenever I watch Michigan and I watch that football team, I think to myself, Texas is going to have to have a little bit of an implosion on defense for those guys to get to 24, 27 points, something like that. And I think that Texas's offense will have to have an implosion not to get to 24, 27 points, even though I really respect that defense. I think it's really good. So with that being said, I think that in order for them to stay on schedule, they're going to need to do a couple things. And one of those things, I think, Cody, I'm not sure if you noticed this watching them, because all your eyes want to look at when you watch that defense is number 55 and number 78 and number 0. But they have some
8 as well.
Oh, 8. Is he the other edge guy?
Yeah, Derek Moore.
Yeah. What is 55?
All 4 of those guys are just too sick.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like you look at that front, and they have an awesome inside linebacker. I forgot his number, but he's really good too. They were talking about him during the Fresno State game, saying that
he was a transfer from Rutgers.
Was he? They were saying that they thought Sharon Moore was saying he thought he might have been the best. The best inside linebacker they've had since he's been there, and dude, and they've had some good ones. So,
well, I had.
Let me just say, like, I said all that just to say, last week, if you just go watch how opportunistic their DBs are, that's another thing. That's another issue, right? They're gonna have to basically take some chances on defense and try and rob the ball away and really jump some balls and stuff like that. I worry about some of these kind of intermediate throws where they can, like these traditional kind of robber spots where you can get a safety or a nickel to really try and do the whole Marcus Peters type of thing on it. But the problem when it is the Marcus Peters type of thing is that whenever you miss on that kind of stuff, you leave yourself open for a big time busted play. But I think they're going to need to hit on some stuff like that, right? And just kind of make sure that they stay ahead on the turnovers, right? Maybe even get a pick six, something like that. And I think that's the only way that they're going to be able to to be able to stay on pace and do what they want to do, which I would imagine is probably let Donovan Edwards feast, see if they can match up against a relatively weak interior Texas defensive line with their relatively weak interior offensive line. But if they can't do that, I think they're going to need a wild card, man. And I think that Orgy's the wild card. And I think that you're asking what I think Sharon Moore means by those comments. I think that's what he kind of means. He's leaving that door open for that. Oh, gosh, we have a super chat from El Presidente. So rich. El Presidente, 1999. Thank you, brother. So it says, Detroit, Michigan has casinos downtown. Empty your money market account and come on, Texas minus 6.5. Then we all go party on 8 Mile. Lock of the. You're gonna do El Presidente. You might know your areas of town in Dallas, where of course Eric sells homes DFW, but
you better be careful up there in Newtown.
I think you need to look. I think you need to look into your knowledge of the Detroit area. I used to go play shows there all the time because there was a station that would play our single there, and you would drive in and you pass through they have one called 12 Mile and one called 8 Mile and like all this stuff as you go into town, and they're just loops. I think they go around the town like 8 miles outers, dude. We had seen the movie and stuff like that, and so we just wanted to stop, and we had some time today, and we just went. You don't want to go party in that neighborhood, brother. All right. Oh, Money B is rich. He outdoes El Presidente by a whole penny. Super chat, $20. Do we run more tempo on offense to tire their DL? What would be y'all's game plan against Michigan?
Dude, well, I think this is a great thought, and this came up in the comments of my column of tiring out this defense. And I can't remember who posted it, but they basically kind of phrased it right, is that the defense should hypothetically get tired because of the lack of output on offense. If the Texas defense continues to play as fast as they did last week and squeeze this offense at Michigan and limit Loveland and limit the run game, and if there's multiple 3 and outs in a row, for example, or 4 5 and outs, for example, that's going to keep that defense on the field longer. If Texas can establish the run and establish making plays, that it just all makes math, right? And then at that point, maybe you are in the mid to late third quarter. This is going to be a tough defense to put away. It's going to take until the late third, early fourth, if that's kind of the train of thought here. But I kind of like what Jay Wall says, though.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Money B says. I was reading.
There's a super chat from Jay Walls.
Flying in all over.
We'll get to you, Jay Walls. As far as Money B, what I'd say, dude, I think he's right. I think he's right on, man. Dude, I mean, you don't want this defense rested up for 2 reasons. One, you don't want them to be able to pin their ears back and to be able to go 200% the whole time, right? Let me close this thing out, dude. Byron's asking me about hyper DFS lineup generator on a Wednesday. Gosh. For one, you don't want them pinning their ears back. You don't want them primed and ready to go. They're too good. It's a sick defense, man. It's the best that Texas is going to play this year. Texas is a really good offense, though. One of the best in the nation. This is going to be strength versus strength, and in that kind of situation, I think the Texas can. I think Texas is going to score 24, 27 points. I'm not sure how Michigan's going to do it as easily as I can see Texas doing it, and that's not a knock on the Michigan defense at all. I think that Michigan can absolutely bump up here and bite Texas in the you-know-what and deal Texas a loss. That's very simple to see happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but I like the idea that this is just a lock city. It's like it's not. This is a really, really, really big test and a really, really tough place to play versus a team that knows how to win. So, yeah, I think that The other reason why you don't want them to be able to be rested up on defense is that inherently means that you're going 3 and out. You're going to, you're going 5 get plays and out, or so 5 plays and bupkis, dude. That can't be what happens. You need to extend. You need to be able to extend these drives. You need to be able to. I think it's going to be a big deal. Here's where I think it is. I think you need to use Jaden Blue as a receiver, as an extension of the run game, and just get him underneath those linebackers, outside of those kind of speedy edge guys. They're going to think that they have the athleticism on the outside to be able to let one of the number 0 or number 8 be able to take the flats on him. And I think that he's fast enough to kind of get it over on those guys. So that's what I would use a lot of Jaden Blue to the perimeter, a lot of Jaden Blue to the as the number 3 receiver, maybe on these Texas routes or on these little flat routes. He showed last week 6 targets in that game. He showed that he had the second most targets of anybody behind Isaiah Bond. So I will continue with that. I think they're going to have trouble with the traditional run game in this last game. We'll break it down in a minute. Hayden Conner probably played better on the whole than you think he did. If you just look at the whole body of work and not the bonehead plays, Jake Majors, same thing. It's funny. DJ Campbell actually kind of played the worst of all those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the I still, even though I'm gonna kind of cape up here in a minute for the offensive line, because they really did play well, and Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams did something amazing, something I've never seen ever in 13 years. But even that, with that being said, they're not gonna win this game by lining up and beating. What is 55's name? I hate keeping
Mason Graham.
They're not gonna line up and just Hayden Conner is going to just go toe to toe with Mason Graham in a solo base assignment and get put this guy on his butt. That's not going to happen. It's just not, and it's not going to happen versus Kenneth Grant and with DJ Campbell and Jake Majors even in a double team. It's just not going to happen. They're going to have to do some things to find some space inside that maybe we're not as used to seeing. I think, dude, I think that the best way to do it would be to get the pin and pull kind of concepts going on, where you give guys easy down blocks on these 2 players, and you let the covered man just pull around and kind of go to that outside zone look, right? Or counters and man, gap and trap stuff, right? Give them easy angles. Give these guys down blocks on these players. They're not going to drive these dudes off the line of scrimmage at a 45-degree angle and keep their hands inside and bring their hips through and do all the things that Kyle Flood wants them to do, man. It's like I'm not sure how much I like the inside zone run game in this one, especially not with Hayden Conner right now. So, and that's not to say Hayden Conner played badly last week. As I said, we're about to talk about the offensive line, and we'll get into that. But yeah, we got Money B in the chat. He knows what's up. We had another Jay Wall for the Super. Oh gosh, man, over 400 of you guys already watching live concurrently. Thank y'all for being here. Let's see, $4.99. The Michigan D is not to be slept on. Quit drinking the media Kool-Aid. Okay, well, he's not talking to us, right? Haven't we been saying that? Have I ever downplayed him? What, just because I said I think Texas can score 24 to 27 points?
I
said it's the best defense they'll play all year. They can easily beat Texas.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he says Kool-Aid OB. Like, he could be talking to us in general. Like, as in general, if you go across all the shows today, it's pretty. And if you go on OB, like, it's pretty. I don't think I've seen anybody say that Michigan's going to win, or even like be. I've seen a couple people say like 3-4 points, but it's pretty. I mean, and even like the national media, there's a couple national pods I listened to that were like, this number's not big enough. 7.5 is not big enough. This number's going to close at 9.5, and it's not big enough. Like, that's national guys as well.
People are saying it's going to get to. Is it still at 6.5?
I know it was at 7.5 today. Let me pop up FanDuel quick.
Man,
I think it was at 7.5 the last I checked it, but people were like literally saying like this thing's gonna close at 9.5, like confidently saying that. Still 7.5.
I wouldn't, dude. I wouldn't be so sure about. I wouldn't be so sure about. It feels like kind of catching the falling knife there, man. I'm not so sure about it. I'll tell you about this game. Like the one thing that I am 100% sure of is that the best like pregame show is going to be over at Texas Beef Traders on Friday night. Cody's coming all the way into town he's coming into town from Charleston, South Carolina to go to Texas Beef Traders and eat some delicious steaks and some delicious snacks and stuff that they're going to be making up for us there. Dude, Texas Beef Traders is right in the heart of Lakeway. They're a great sponsor. Delicious, delicious beef right from Mason, Texas, from the ranch right to your plate. It's delivered there fresh weekly. And it's weird to me. It's like, I always wonder, and I always ask Darren and Dan, how is it that this is cheaper than the grocery store when it tastes so much better? And every time I go to the farmer's market, I always pay like $80 for a steak. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just like, this is just like a farmer's market. It comes right for, it's like it tastes better. It tastes just as good. No vaccines, no antibiotics, no anything like that. Just bovine nutritionists making sure that these cows are happy, living their non-GMO lives, and finishing them with all kinds of human. They finish them with like human grade products that like it's the stuff that the grocery stores are about to throw away because it's about to go bad for humans, and a bunch of blueberries and stuff they feed it to these cows. So make sure and check them out. Texas Beef Traders, 10% off. But the show on Friday, it's gonna be great, dude. We're gonna have like beers. If you like wines, Darren's a winemaker. He'll give you glasses of wine. They have like sangria wine up there. If you don't drink, they have like all kinds of cool sodas and sparkling waters. But it'll mainly be the meat. And they're going to make like they said, they're going to bring out 4 different like courses of stuff for Cody and I to eat whenever we're up there doing the show. So we'll be shoving our face on the show, but they're going to make all that stuff for everybody, everybody who comes. So come eat, be merry. You can come hop on the show, talk with us there. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. And if you can't make it out, that's fine. If you can, Cody put up that link right there. Some people have already RSVP'd. It's not binding, but you can come up whenever during the day. We'll probably get there around 4 or 5. If you want to hang out beforehand and drink some beers or waters, whatever you want to do. But if you RSVP there, it'll kind of help us. It'll help them to know how many steaks and things they need to have ready. They're gonna have plenty for everybody, regardless. But it could just help them out. So if you're gonna come, RSVP there, Lakeway, Texas, easy to get to, right off Lomas Crossing. Friday night, me and Cody live football with friends at Texas Beef Traders. Thanks to Texas Beef Traders. Okay. We have anything else from your deal that you wanted to
I
get
did want to
anything
say one thing. There was a question in the chat. Wait, did we get that super chat? We answer that? Oh, we did. Oscar Elizondo. Did you get this one? Oscar said, $5. Appreciate you, Oscar. I'm sick of hearing Michigan was holding a lot back as if Texas was not doing the exact same thing. I think you're right. Michigan was holding a lot back, though, because Wink Martindale in defense. His goal and defense. And that's, I mean, when you looked at the scoreboard, I think it was 16-10 when the fourth quarter and 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, they were holding stuff back. Did they overlook Fresno State? It seemed like it. And that Will Johnson, who you have to be careful with, is going to be a top 5 pick. Will Johnson's pick 6 kind of was the thing that switched it. Like, you remember they were down there on the 10-yard line when Will Johnson had that pick 6. And did they take that game for granted? Sure. Was that what Michigan is? No. I think Michigan's better than that. But the problem is they don't have an offense. So think about that in context of this, Oscar, is that, yes, Michigan was holding stuff back, but also what was Texas holding back? Because Texas could have scored 75 against Colorado State.
I think it's kind of like their whole. Think about it like this. Did you ever on Christmas where your parents, when you were a little kid, and your parents would let you open one on Christmas Eve? one of your presents, right? But they would hold back. They would hold back like, your other big present to do on Christmas morning.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of
Right.
always did the backwards. I always got the big one first, and then everything
Oh,
else came in the
really?
morning. Yeah,
Okay, well,
mine was
regardless,
pass
like,
backwards.
let's just okay. Well, for me, it was always kind of like the bigger one got held back, right? And so this would be like you're the first one you open being socks, right? And the one that they're holding back, maybe it's like socks plus underwear. You know what I mean? It's not it isn't a hoverboard.
It's
you
not a
know,
booby bag.
yeah, man. I don't. I'm not sure that offense is. Even if they are holding stuff back, I'm not sure that Cody. I decided Edwards, and they didn't even play Edwards as much as that other running back. It felt like.
Well, it's because Edwards wasn't
How many?
efficient in any way, shape, or form.
Well, he was only a few inches away from having one real big run.
And that's
He
how
has
he
he
is.
has
And
sort of
we know that's what
what?
he is. And then we know that that's what he is.
Yeah, right. Well, look, I mean, it's just I mean, outside of number 18, what's his name?
Colston Loveland.
Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
Outside of that guy, and who knows, man? Maybe maybe
They like Samaj Morgan. He's a wide receiver that they think can get over the top. They like him.
Well, whenever they, but didn't he play out of the slot? I'd like to look on Cockamamie PFF and see if he's
I'm
slot.
on there right now. Actually, before I bring that up, there was one guy that had asked a question. I missed it way back, but he asked about the snaps for these defensive linemen. And I have PFF already up, so I'm just going to read this before I go off. Maybe you're looking up Samaj right now, but the D-line snaps for Michigan last week. Mason Graham was in on 46, Kenneth Grant on 41. The only other D lineman that played more than 5 snaps on the interior was Rayshawn Benny. He played 23. So their interior was 3 dudes, 46, 41, 23. And then there was 3 guys that came in and played 4, 3, and 2. So really it's a 3-headed monster in the interior. On the edges, Derek Moore and Josiah Stewart, the 2 dogs, played 37 snaps each. And then Cam Brandt and TJ Guy, where their backups, played 22 each. So out of 59 defensive snaps, Mason Graham played 46 and Kenneth Grant played 41, which is, I believe my Hayfield math tells me 46 divided by 59 is like 68%, 70%, 68, 70%.
What is the number again?
Sorry, 46 divided by 59. So that's 70. That's 72.
46 out of 59. It's like what's 60. I mean, it's
70,
like 40. It's like 75%.
78% snap share in defensive line.
On the D line.
That was Mason Graham. And then Kenneth Grant was 5 snaps behind him. So 70%.
But only a total of 40-something snaps. 40-something snaps. That's a lot of snaps for a defensive line. And they didn't. It wasn't like they let up. It wasn't like they let up that much. They were working, but yeah, man, it's like that's close, man. That's it's that goes. You know what? That goes to show kind of the Money B's question. It might be kind of hard to run those guys off the field. Even if you can extend these drives and get them going side to side with some of the running back screen stuff. I think these bubble screens to the outside, though, with a little bit of tempo, I think that you can get it going with that. And I just wonder if you get them going with that, whether it's going to be different than what we saw this last week. Because maybe, I don't know, we can talk about the Texas offense. Like,
yeah, we got to get to the deep dig.
Is Matthew Golden like
too sick?
Is he for sure the number 2 for this team?
I mean,
if you look,
you're the one that did the deep dig.
Well, I mean, if you just look at the way that they were utilized, I'm looking back at I'm just looking back at kind of like the skill player participation, and for the first 2 series, it's Bond and it's Golden, and when they had a slot guy in there, it was DeAndre Moore. And then there was one play at the very end whenever Bolden and Jonte Cook came in for one play. And then in the third series, Jonte Cook comes in with Ryan Wingo, and it kind of stays like that. But then after a few plays, it goes back just to be like 4 plays like that. And then it goes back to being that third defensive series was a longer defensive series, right? And it went from 4 plays with those two guys just back to Bond and Golden, and then Bond and Golden played the whole 4th series, and Bond and Golden played the whole 5th series, and went until the 6th series. So the 6th series of the game, whenever you got another situation in there with Cook and Bolden. And then at the end of the 6th series, they go back to Bond and Golden. And then instead for the 7th series to end the first half, it was Bond and it's Golden. It's like Golden led the team as far as snap percentage this last week. As far as the wide receivers, and I know it could be like, and look, I get it that it can be a little bit deceiving in a week like this, where you say like, well, what does that really mean in a week like this? Whenever you have dudes who are backups that get to play with like both the starters and the backups, right? Ryan Wingo, Isaiah Bond, your classic case. Ryan Wingo, Jonte Cook, your kind of classic cases there. Silas Bolden got to play a little bit with the ones too, but those plays, like, do you real like Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond didn't play one single play whenever Quinn Ewers wasn't on the field. The minute Quinn Ewers left the field, you never saw Bond again. You never saw Golden again. Did you see DeAndre Moore again? Yes, you saw DeAndre Moore again, but only for 3 snaps. The rest of the game, and that's 1, 2, 3. It's basically 3 long series. You don't see. It's basically for the 28. It's for all of Arch Manning's snaps. You just didn't see those guys. So I just wondered, man, is that going to change from week to week? Or I think we have to, it's like, what's his name? Alan Makeda. He's going to come in here and he's going to say, you guys worry too much about who the starters are. Like, but we're trying to figure out what this team is. Right?
I told you it doesn't matter. I agree with Alan Makeda. It doesn't matter who the starters are. Like, we talked about
it does, because if this was a game where it didn't get out of hand, were they going to, are they just going to mix in, like, if they were going to mix in those guys, like, why wouldn't they mix them in whenever Arch was in and stuff too? Or why wouldn't they mix them in more through the first half of the game? They didn't, especially in the game when they said that they wanted to play a bunch of dudes in the first half. They didn't mix them in very much.
Offhand, do you know the participation until they pulled Quinn? Like, can you tell that? Or can you tell, like, where the shift came? Like, did somebody have not as many snaps before Quinn left? And then,
yes.
What was the big drop?
Oh, I can just, okay. So let me just tell you. All right. So,
I asked, yes. Because you look at the numbers, it's like Golden Bolden. Like, I'll pop it up right here. I just had it up, but I'll pop it back up. It's Golden Bolden. And then it drops to right there. Golden Bolden at 36 and 34 snaps. Cook is right there in the middle, 29. And then a 3 group of Wingo, Moore, and Bolden before he dropped down to Livingston for 2. Was Wingo, Moore, or Bolden? I know I saw Wingo out there the first couple of series.
Wingo came in the 3rd series. So, all right. So Wingo played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 snaps with Quinn Ewers. Out of Quinn Ewers' 48 snaps, he played 10 of them with him.
He only played 4 snaps in the first half, though.
Right, but he played 1.
That's a big tell, though.
1,
right? He only played 4 snaps in the first half.
Right, 4 snaps in the first half and 6 in the first series of the second. Quinn played 1 series of the second half, and Arch played on the second series of the second half.
If you want to talk about,
so Wingo played 10, Jonte played 1, 2, 3, 4.
You're really going to count that, though? You're going to count that first series of the second half as the, like, if you really want, like I told you, I don't think it matters what the receivers are. I don't think it matters who's 1, who's 6. I think they're all going to get used. You said I think it does matter. If it does matter, then you can't count that first snap of the first series of the second half.
Well,
right?
I mean, Arch was in there, but like, fine. All right. So let's just say it. I mean, I think it makes my point even more clear.
Right?
So
that's what I'm trying to say.
You have in the first half of the game,
we had Wingo.
You have Bond and Golden dominating snaps. You have 7 snaps of Jonte. You have 4 snaps of Wingo. you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 snaps of Silas Bolden, and the rest of the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, man, the whole shebang, the whole enchilada. It was Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden. And as much as as big a fan I am of both Jonte Cook and Ryan Wingo, and kind of thought that they looked better than Matthew Golden during the times that I saw him in camp, can I really look at what Matthew Golden did and think that he looks bad? Matthew Golden looks good. He's third on the team in targets. I was only 4. Dude, like we always say, man, the old alien comes down. Like he just, he doesn't know anything. You think that guy's the number 2 wide receiver for Texas. Buck Wild Longhorns asking if I get all this from the broadcast film or do I have an access to different film? I do have access to different film, but not fast enough to get this turned around. So I do have to do it on broadcast to do the deep dig. It's just nobody at the school is going to give me the Texas film and all the plugs that I have to get all 22s are more people that are NFL draft types that kind of collect it throughout the year. And it's not something where I can just order it up, on a Sunday night and just have it ready. I wish I could, but yeah, it's all from broadcast film. But the good news is, especially now with Texas, with Texas having more ESPN and ABC games, you do get an end zone or overhead angle usually once every 3 to 3.3 plays. So that's very helpful. It's closer to on Fox. It's closer to once every 4 or 5 plays that you get that alternate angle to really help with the offensive line grades and stuff. But I've been doing it 13 years. I have a pretty easy time identifying the concepts and knowing what's what right now. All right.
I would say based on this, like I'm just counting it. It's purely up on, Bolden can't be in your rotation. He can't be in your Bolden and Wingo can't be in that rotation of like.
They can't be in. What do you mean they can't be in their rotation?
In the rotation of like saying like the way I phrased it. When I phrased it before, saying it doesn't matter. Like clearly, Bolden was in on 6 snaps in the first half. Wingo was in on 4.
Yeah. And what do we say about Jonte? 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because he played he played a few at Z and a few at X.
I don't see any at X. Oh, there they are. Sorry.
Yeah,
7.
it's like maybe the 6th series.
Okay, so it was literally Bond and Golden. That's the starters. And then Moore played 17 snaps. And then it was Bolden, Wingo, and Cook who had 7, 6, and 4. So, yeah, that was the first half, purely the first half.
It feels like that has to be some kind of tell as to the hierarchy at this point. I don't like it at a certain point. They can't lie to you. They're on the field. That's what they're doing. Those guys dominated snaps whenever Quinn was out there. It is what it is.
And look at targets. Who's out there for the most snaps? Bond, 32 snaps in the first half, 7 total targets. Golden's out there for the second most snaps, 4 targets. Tied with Wingo. Wingo just happened to be the most efficient player on the field from a target to snap
Wingo
perspective.
looks awesome, man. I don't think
he's also, that's going to be tough for them to. He's going to be. If you really look at this hierarchy and you take it for granted for what it is in the first half, Bond and Golden are the 1, 2, Moore's the slot, and then it's Bolden, Wingo, and Cook competing, which makes sense. You got to say Wingo's got the hot hand right now. Wingo's going to be the guy that probably gets more snaps this next week.
Yeah, man.
Which puts Bolden and Cook in a weird spot.
And which is good because Cody identifying which one of these guys is which, especially in this last game. I don't know what was up with the HD and stuff. It was kind of hard at times with the sun on the on the jerseys to really be able to tell, but because gosh, man, these dudes, they look a lot more alike than I thought, and it's just really easy to tell whenever it's Wingo out there, right? It's funny, man. I can tell you how I had to do it. Matthew Golden has his back pad thing that sort of comes out, right? It kind of pops out a little bit. Jonte Cook never puts in his mouthpiece, and he has a pink mouthpiece. And DeAndre Moore had a white towel that went right down the middle of his butt, and like that was literally how I. Oh, and Silas Bolden wears the Alvin Kamara white. What is that called?
Tape.
That
It's turf tape.
Yeah, and Bolden wears that. It's like because even though Bolden, you get like in real life small, like those guys,
they're
when
all
they're all
pretty,
kind of standing next to each other, man, it's really hard to tell who's who, and when you can't see the numbers too well on the broadcast. So for my sake, I hope it's Wingo, so I don't have to keep on just going back and rewinding to find out who's who.
He's so big, dude. He's so blasted big compared to those guys.
Yeah, man, for sure. So people are asking about the offensive line grades. We can just talk about them. So here's the big news, man. It was the best game that I'd ever seen from Kelvin Banks, the best game I'd ever seen from Cam Williams. Certainly the only time that two players at Texas in the last 13 years have scored above an 80 on the deep dig scale. And both these guys didn't just score an 80. They absolutely smashed it.
Wait, does that mean on the same game, same day? Or what are you saying?
I'd have to look back. That's a good question. Maybe I'll write about that in the column. I'm not sure that
the way you phrased it, you're saying it's the first time.
I didn't Cam Williams like crack into the 80s at one point last year? Let me look and see. I forgot if he got to the 80s where he's got up real close. But dude, I mean, a dude coming in for his first
start. Because I might have heard you wrong. How did you just say that? You said it's the first time that two players have cracked, or first time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just know I've never had two guys in one game both score over 80 points.
Okay, well there you go. Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
sorry, I misheard you a little bit. I was trying to make sure I got it right.
Yeah. Let me look at it from last year though and tell you from last year what Cam Williams' best game was. So Cam's best game last year was a 78.64. Kelvin Banks' best game last year was an 80.72. And you can see where that scale is right there. For people who maybe are new listening and weren't around here last year, this is a scale that I developed. Well, I kind of learned it. It's a scale that I had to develop that I learned from a guy that was a college scouting personnel director for the Raiders at the time when I first started doing this. And he had like a clinic, and I knew him and I'd met him, and he didn't teach me this personally, but he had given me access to some of his materials, and I kind of pieced it together about how he did this stuff with the offensive line grading and with the system. Basically what it is you go through and you grade. What you have to do first is you have to identify the assignment, right? And to identify the assignment, you first have to identify the concept. And I basically just have a list of five different easy concepts. It doesn't matter. Like for our purposes, it doesn't really matter, but you have to know what the concept is to know what the assignment is. And then once you know what the assignment is, you just look and see, all right, well, on this scale, which is a Likert scale where it goes basically, it doesn't really matter, but it goes from negative numbers to positive numbers, and it's a 10-point scale. And for, if it looks like a play that you couldn't imagine anything being better, it goes up to like 2, right? And if it's the worst one you could ever imagine, it's a -2. But in between, it's like -1.5, -1, -0.5, 0. And what 0 is baseline. And if somebody were to score a 0 through the whole game for every single snap, and I graded every single snap as a 0, their grade on that week would be a 75, right? That's a baseline game. That's fine. You start getting it below 7. It's acceptable. 75 is basically the line and the threshold of acceptability. Anything below 74.5 is unacceptable. And you can see listed here, once you get to that kind of 76.5 to 78.5, if everybody on the line plays like that, you're going to dominate the game and you're going to win the game by 52 points like Texas just did. And I know people are going to say, I hate it that Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks had such good games. And I hate to see that guys like Hayden Connor and Jake Majors and DJ Campbell, who looked bad, right? There were times that they looked bad. Jake Majors had a false start and a snap infraction. Hayden Connor allowed 1 TFL and he allowed 1 run stuff. He also had a nice knockdown, but though, by the way, he had one really killer block. Cole Hudson had one really killer block on one counter pull, a little bit later in the game. DJ Campbell allowed one sack and one quarterback hit. So it's like there were plays where you looked at those guys and you said, that was no good. But overall, if you just, and this is what helps me with this, is that if you look at it from just the standpoint of, what do we have up here on the screen, Cody? Is that the 2023 grades by week?
Yeah, I was trying to. Yeah,
just
I was
for kind of reference.
We were going to go into that, and then but you were explaining it, so I just kind of let you go. I didn't. Really
Okay. So like say last year, Kelvin Banks, like his best score, that blue one versus Kansas State, that was his best game. He like only got up to 81. He got up to 84.96 in this game. All these guys' games were elevated so much in this one, and now all we can say is this. Look, you can say this, and I want to make sure that this is important. We have the narrative out there that they only looked that good because they were playing against such a bunch of, like a weakling defense, right? And you can go with that. But I will say you can find solace in the fact that, Texas last year, if you look at that Rice game, whenever Cody pulled it back down, can you just put it back up real quick, Cody, or is it going to jumble us all back up again? Like a bunch of
I got it.
Okay, it's going to take me like halfway out and put you all this. If you look at if you look at last year to the Rice game,
no,
is it going? Okay,
I think I went.
The Rice game was the Rice game last year was their worst game, right? The Rice game last year, they came into that game and I said, guys, we're gonna have to have a hard talk. I can't see exactly what those numbers are, but it was miserable. That thing is color coded from your worst to your best, and you look at everybody's worst game was that week, except for Christian Jones, who still had a pretty terrible game. So if we're just basing it, we're saying weak first opponent, don't count it. It's like that. You can't do it because last year they started out. It was a huge bummer. I came on here and I said we're gonna have to have a serious talk here. This is gonna be one of these serious talks where we say like this, like we could be in trouble here. We're not having that talk today. The talk we're having today is Kelvin Banks and Cam Williams did something historic, and if they continue this, not only is Cam Williams gone for the absolutely gone for the NFL after this season. Absolutely gone. It will be the best two tackles certainly since I've been here at Texas, and I would have to ask Ketch when the last time that they had a tackle tandem like this is. Cam Williams is the real deal. He has arrived. He is outstanding. His feet are outstanding. The only thing about Cam Williams that you worry about is
he's too good.
No, if they watch him real close, he's good at hiding it. He keeps his hands inside, but he's grabby. He kind of holds. And
everybody holds.
Yeah, but Cam, I would say, Cody, watch it back. Nash has that one where it only takes like 45 minutes if you're just watching it. I would just go watch him for like a half. It'll take you 15, 20 minutes and just watch Cam Williams' hands. And you'll see what I mean. There were times where I thought, man, like I was like, that's a great block. It was like, but should I dock him from like a 1 point something where I give him like a 1.5? He just opened up a giant hole. But he was like, he's kind of got his, he's kind of grabbing, and sometimes it was on the outside of the shoulder pads and stuff to the play side. And I was like, dude, that could have easily been called for a hold. I'm like, should I dock him? I'm like, well, no, because he didn't get called for the hold. But what I'm warning you of is this. This is just one of those things. Like it's going to happen this year where Cam Williams has a game where he gets like 3 holding calls. So he needs to clean that up. But
bad news. If it was going to happen, it's going to happen this week because this is his toughest opponent of the year.
Yeah. So, but look, I'm not. I don't want to take any helium out of this whole thing. This is a giant development. This is the look. The fact that all these guys played at this level, and you had 2 guys playing like NFL, like literal first round NFL picks. It's what's he say? We don't call holding in the SEC.
Our conference.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it at Texas. I don't think there's probably anybody outside the coaching staff that watches the offensive line as closely as I have. Certainly not, at least over the course of the last 13 years. And for me, what I'm telling you is I've never seen this. And so now Texas has had some bad lines, right? They've had some bad lines, right? So it isn't like I'm comparing this to every Joe Moore award-winning line that has been around, right? But I think what it does kind of go to show us is that what it goes to show us is that this offensive line, if they can hold this together, they can be special, and just forget about the snap infractions, forget about the stuff with Connor. If they're really bad this week, we can revisit it. But they weren't really bad this week. They were playing games where they were operating at a level to where there should be no detriment on the whole to what the offense is trying to do. Every single one of them, even NATO, and he was bad last year.
I was just going to say the Cockamamie PFF actually, you don't have grades because you don't grade. You do real grading, real analytics when you break down these players and go through and get these numbers. But PFF with their Cockamamie grades actually has Connor Robertson and Trevor Gooseby as the top 2 players on the offensive line.
Robertson would have had. Do you know what Robertson would have scored if Robertson would have needed one more? I can tell you right now what he would have scored because he only did one more. What do you have? 19 snaps. What does Cockamamie PFF say?
They have him for 22 because I'm assuming that's special teams.
No, and there was the 2 kneel downs at the end that they counted.
So you should technically count that.
Wait, does Cockamamie PFF have a? Don't tell me that they have a grade on Andre Kojo from those kneel downs.
Yep.
How do you grade that? Okay, I mean,
2 plays, he got a 60.
Well, how do you grade that? What does that even mean?
You're getting a 6-0. Two run blocking plays lined up at right tackle, no stats, 60.
2 kneel downs. Okay. Okay. I just say like, we'll give it a 60. What do you say? What was I gonna? What I was just
Connor Robertson.
Something. Oh, Connor Robertson. Okay, yeah. So Connor Robertson. So if I go to the grading sheet, maybe I can let me share my screen here. I can show you guys how maniacal this sheet looks.
Right, let me drop my shit then.
Your stuff. Swear jar. All right, so here we go. So you can just tell here. I mean, just kind of showing the work. This is just every snap graded from every player. So Robertson is what, number 62?
Yep.
So he played. I have him for 19 snaps. All right, so you have to take this down, Cody, because I have to put in the formula to get the grade, and that's proprietary.
I can't take anything down because you put it up.
Got it. All right, let me see. So I need to. So we're gonna pretend that he played one more snap and just say it was a baseline average snap, right? So his score would be, and it's going to be a dead even score because it's exactly 20. His score would have been a 77.5. So if you compare him to the rest of the other guys,
which is ahead of DJ Campbell, Hudson, and Umuzulo, just a touch behind Jake Majors.
Yep. So I thought he played good. Yeah, he was good. But
PFF thinks he should be starting. So
Poncho Outdoors, man, you should be starting to make your orders there. Cody, you and I got to make a Poncho Outdoors order, so maybe it can get here by Saturday whenever you get into town for the show. I'll call you about that after the show is over. But thanks so much to Poncho Outdoors for sponsoring the show. Thanks to Texas Beef Traders. Thanks, of course, to Specs. We have the OB Outsiders coming up after this. I'll have my column up probably tomorrow morning over on Orange Bloods because now it's starting to feel like tequila time after a big, long show. A great show, man. 600 of you guys here watching. The show keeps getting bigger and bigger. We can't thank you guys enough for being here. We do always appreciate your time. That's why we come in, we get out, we talk football. We're always trying to be prepared and ready to go. So thank you guys so much. Again, the live show will be September 6th next week. Next Friday. Wait, this week. Friday. Come on Friday to Texas Beef Traders. You can